Oh, hello.
Good morning.
You're in the middle of a jungle?
We are, and this is a safari lodge. It's very beautiful here. You see, that's with the mosquito netting, and it's beautiful. We saw six lions, a family, yesterday in the afternoon, late afternoon. You know, a
I,
father, a
ho I
mother.
hope your doors are locked.
Say it again.
I hope your doors are locked.
They're locked.
Oh,
And by the way, you cannot go. You cannot go from your lodge to the Chadar Ochel without security
oh.
because someone has to walk with you with a light.
Hmm.
There, there are hippos walking around here. It's bizarre. Okay, we're going out on safari at 5:30 in the morning. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. But I went to
Yes.
sleep. I went to sleep at 9 o'clock. I slept 8 hours. So
Hmm.
and because they're taking us out at 5:30. It's very cold
Yeah?
right
Hmm.
now. Then it warms up. Then you peel off layers.
Hey Ernie, how are you?
Morning, Walter.
What is it? 6 o'clock it's 5 o'clock in the morning.
We're going out on safari this morning at
At
five
six
thirty,
o'clock. At 6 o'clock.
six
I
o'clock.
know because that's when you see the animals. 6 o'clock till 10, and then you come back at 10, and then you go in the evening. I know the drill.
3:30. Correct. We saw the most
Yeah,
beautiful.
3:30. Make sure you eat some rusks with coffee this morning.
What's a rusk?
I'm sure they give. I don't know. A rusk is like a. That's what they use to. That's what they give. They're kosher. The rusks.
Yeah. We saw a beautiful family of lions
Yeah.
just 5 feet away from us. As the sun was setting, a father, a mother, and three children. It was,
You
and they
have
were
that next to your hotel, next to your camp.
no in the Jeep. We went out yesterday afternoon, but we
Oh, you
let
went out in the afternoon.
I won't, we had a delay because there was a lot of fog. The fog finally came into Cape Town. So
Yeah,
the planes were delayed. So we came here late. We were supposed to go out at 3:30. We went out 4:30. But at night, they continued the safari at night with lighting.
right.
you with the but we saw this lions as the sun was going down. So it was still very well lit.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll send you some videos of that. But I
yeah, yeah.
listen,
No, I've got
you
usually.
mamish you don't have a second here. It's just you don't have a second free time here.
Listen, there's nothing. I can tell you one thing. Going to the game reserve is even more interesting than skiing or anything because it just takes you around. It's a phenomenal thing.
It's beautiful. Okay,
I I found it. Yeah.
so Tzadik Bays, 92 Amid Bays. It says Ve'ena Noheg Ba'of near the top. The Gira Nosha Din does not apply to birds. Fragt more about Chazin and Islay, because it says they don't have a um,
Moon shape.
rounded piece of meat near their thigh. So the Gemara says, Islay v'lo ogil. No, it's there is a piece of meat, but it's not round. Boy Rav Yirmiyah, Islay la'oif v'ogil. What if you find a bird that has a rounded piece of meat there? Or vice versa, Islay l'behema v'lo ogil. Or the individual animal that you see does not have muscle. My basar didei. Do you go after individual animal, or basar minei, or do you do the species? Teku. So it's left as a issue. The Giranosh din, according to Chachamim, apply the pro to a fetus. We're talking about a ben pakua. If you shecht the mother and you find a fetus alive in the womb, But Rabbi Yehuda said it doesn't apply. Amar Shmuel, v'chelba mutar divrei hakol. But Shmuel says the chaylev is permitted. Now, which chaylev? Chelba demai. Ilem d'shliel. You're talking about the general chaylev of the whole fetus? That's not divrei hakol. V'hamiflik pligibi. We had a machlokas, the Tanya. Noig b'shliel. The Gid HaNosha applies to a fetus for chelba aser, but the chaylev is aser. Divrei Meir. Where you don't noig b'shliel. The Gid HaNosha does not apply, but for chelba mutter. So this concept of the general chaylev of a fetus has been already debated. You can't say that it's divrei hakol. This machlokes is when you find a 9-month-old fetus after you shech the mother. The halach Rav Meir l'shitaso, Rav Yehuda l'shitaso. Both Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda follow their general svaras. So then how can you say, Shmuel, that everyone holds that the chaylev is permitted? Elo chelba de gid. So maybe you'll say there is chaylev that travels with the gid. And that's what you mean that the chaylev of the gid is permitted? Ha-miflagi pligi bi. That's also machlokes, the Tanya. Gid HaNosha, mechatit achros b'chol makom shehu. You have to dig wherever the sciatic nerve is and remove the chaylev there. V'choitach sham mikaro. You have to find the root of the chaylev and get rid of it. Rav Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer gam moima shefi. You just have to trim it off. At the surface, any chaylev below that surface you can eat. But they argue whether the chaylev of the Gid HaNosha is permitted or not. It's not divrei hakol. So the Gemara says, Lo'olam chelba de gid. We are not talking about the general chaylev of a fetus, but rather the chaylev of a gid. U'moide Shmuel, the Rav Meir, min Rabbanan aser. But Shmuel says that even Rav Meir, who permitted it, says that midrabanan Rav Meir asered it, but he said he only asered it midrabanan. So really, based on that price, according to everybody, is permitted. Where do we see this? Tanya v'sham no mutter. Really, the fat of the chaylev is permitted. The Yisrael kodshim kedoshim noagu ba'isur. Jews are careful. They stay away from prohibited things. And they had a minig to not eat it. My love, Rav Meir eat over mutter ben haTorah v'asur min Rabbanan. The Gemara wants to say that this is the sheet of Rav Meir, who, when he said that it's usur, it's only min Rabbanan, but not min haTorah. The Gemara says it's not a proof. Mimai dilma Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, who said that you can eat it below the surface, maybe that's only midiraisa. Maybe Rabbanan, they prohibit it. Aval Rav Meir midiraisa nami asir. And when Rav Meir said asir, it's also midiraisa. The Gemara says lo salkadait. The Tanya. You have to dig to all the roots. But here it says v'sham no mutter. Now man shamnes lady islichati. Who is the one who said you have to dig to the root? That's Rav Meir. The Ka'amnar sham no mutter. So we see clearly that even according to Rav Meir, min haTorah it's permitted. It's only prohibited midrabanan. Amrav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta Amarav. Lo asra Torah el knois shabai. There are branches of the Gid HaNosha that go into the flesh, the meat, and are soft and can be eaten. The hard Gid HaNosha itself, the big sciatic nerve, is, according to this shita, not able to be eaten, and therefore it's not prohibited. However, Ulo Amar Eitzu, yes, the Gid HaNosha is hard as wood, but V'Torah chiva lo. The Torah says you're not allowed to eat it. Amar Abaya Kavase de Ula Mistavra. This shita is logical. Darav Sheish Amar Ravasi Chutin Shebechela Basurin Vein Chayim Aleim. these like little threads that these are like nerves and blood vessels that are very thin. They travel through the meat of the animal. Like nerves that come out of the spinal cord and they go through the chalev in the sides of the animal. So the chutin, these threads that travel through the chalev, you may not eat them, but there's no kores. Alma chalev amrachman v'lo chutin. When the Torah asks chalev, it's only the chalev. Achanami, gid amrachman v'lo knoiknois. The Torah said, what's prohibited is the gid itself, but not these branches that come out. Gufa. We're going to deal with something more in detail. That which we mentioned in passing. Amrav Shestam Ravasi, Chutin Shebachelev, Asurin Ven Chavnalam. If you have the areas of chalev in the body, and there are nerves traveling through it, you also cannot eat it. But that's not, you don't get kores. However, these threads shebekulya in the kidney, Asurin Ve'en Chavnalam. Also, there's no kores. But the white part, loy ben kulya, which is there's fat in a kidney, it's white. Rabbi Chia, it's machloikes, chad aser v'chad shori. One said it's prohibited, the other said it's permitted. Rabba memartet le, Rabba before he would eat it would dig it out. Rabbi Yochanan memartet le would also dig it out. Ravasi goim le. He would, just level it with the surface of the kidney and you can eat that which is in the kidney. Amr Abaya Kavosid Ravasi Mistavra, the lenient version of Ravasi makes more sense. Now we go to Tzadi Gimel Amud Aleph, but I would just keep the same.
Okay.
I'll label this blot Tzadik Beis B and Tzadik Gimel. Chalev Shabasar Choifo is a mutter. There's chalev, the sides of the animal are called the flanks. The chalev there that is covered by meat, that chalev is permitted. Alma shalak solim amrachma. The chalev where there is no meat there, so that would be prohibited. But not chalev that's actually in the flank. So chanami, here it makes sense by the kidney. Shalakloyos amrachmana. Those that are sitting on top, like when I take a kidney out, there's fat all along or outside the kidney. There's also some fat inside. So that's what they're talking about. The fat on the outside of the kidney is prohibited as chalev. The lo shebesocha klayos, but the fatty tissue within the kidney is not prohibited. Gufa, Amrav Amrav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, chalev shabas choifo soy mutter. If you have meat overlying the chalev, that chalev is permitted. That's in the sides of the animal. Eini, Amrav Amrav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, hatarba de tuti masni asir. This chalev in the loins or in the flanks, near the top of the abdomen where it's not covered by muscle, it's prohibited. When the animal walks, so these areas separate from each other. So when you see fat covering it after death, sometimes it's uncovered. So that's why that area might be permitted. I'm not a butcher, I'm not the son of a butcher. But I remember they would teach us in yeshiva. Behema b'chayeh pruki mifrika. They would teach this concept that when it walks, not when it's dead, you would separate. The stomachs, there's two stomachs. The fat overline that is mamish chalev, and you get kores. The zel chalev shal hakerev. That's what the Torah refers to when it says chalev al hakerev. Amrav Abba Amrav Shmuel Amrav Shmuel. High tarba the klibusa also vanish kores. The klibus the chalev, that's a bone near the end of the spinal column. So that's also, there's chaylev there, and that's karis chaylev. Zer chaylev shel aksolim. That's considered chaylev in the flanks. V'amar Vav Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel, chutin shebiyad asurin. If you see blood vessels in the front leg of the animal, so that's prohibited. Amar Rav Chizda, Moshe miyom rachmana lo techel bisra. What's wrong? Did Moshe Rabbeinu say we're not allowed to eat meat? Amar Rav, Moshe miyom rachmana echel dama. But Moshe said we're not allowed to eat blood. So the blood vessels have blood. What do? Chatche, you cut it. Umalche, you salt it. And then afilu l'keder nami shapir dami. Then you can throw those blood vessels into a pot when you make cholent. Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Reish me'eha, the duodenum, the amsa boy greda. You have to scrape the top of the first arm of the duodenum, the fat off of it, because that would be zeu chelev shaladakin. When the Torah says chelev haladakin, that's the fat on the duodenum. You have nerves that come out of the spinal column and go into the sides of the animal. You can't eat that. There are 5 types of these threads in the flanks. Plus 3 on the right, 2 on the left. These are nerves that branch. Plus tray. The 3 that we talked about that come out on the right side, they each branch into 2. 2 nerves on the left, each branch into 3. Why do we need to know that? Nafkamina, after they shechted, while the animal was still warm, you could pull out these threads, and they will slide out easily. If the animal is now not warm, it's been dead for a while, you have to dig out in the flanks to get rid of all these nerves.
Is that tribal, Ernie?
Is it what?
Is it what it's called tribal when you?
Yes. All of the digging out the nerves for the blood vessels and is trabering. Trabering is specifically a leg where they got rid of the fat for the gidanosha. So the butcher trained to remove all of it, but some of this is because of dam, because there's blood vessels. There are 5 nerves or threads that are usher. Tarba. Here we go. 3 is because of chaylev. And remember, the nerves are traveling through the fat, so it's too complicated. So you got to get rid of that. Utrain mishum dama, but there are other 2 that are usher because of blood. Now, the tachli, the kafli, the kulyas mishum tarba. Spleen had fat over it, and there were arteries that entered into the spleen. Same thing with the kidney. Same thing with the flanks. Now, the yodo, the lua mishum dama. And those were the spleen, the flanks, and the kidney, the fat on top of it, that's chaylev. The yodo, the lua mishum dama. If you have blood vessels in the front leg of the animal, and the lua is the jaw, so that you can't eat because of blood. Now, why do we need to know this? Hani the mishum dama. These threads in the foreleg and in the jaw, well, the problem is blood, so there's a way to get rid of it. If you cut them and salt them, so that's the way of getting rid of the blood, then you can eat it. The spleen, the kidney, that That's chaylev. So you have no solution. You can't eat those. Rav Kanavitim Rav Yehuda. Chamsha karmi havi. A kerem is a membrane, and there are 5 that are prohibited. Plus mishum tarba, 3 of them because of chaylev. Trey mishum dama, 2 because of blood. The tachli kafli dekulius mishum tarba. The membranes that are on top of the spleen or the flanks or the kidney are prohibited because of chaylev. The bei, the testicle, with the mukra, and of the brain, mishum dama. There's a big blood vessel net there. The brain has two membranes, an inner one and a thicker one. They're full of blood. It's very interesting. The brain and the testicle have something called the blood testicular and the blood-brain barrier. We know that. So the Chazal seem to see this special uniqueness about the testicle and the brain. Rav Yehuda bar Sheva kakolaf leitachlo Levi braid Ravuna bar Chia. He was cutting off this membrane of the spleen. Havikagoim le mi'iloi. He removed only the upper section, not the lower section. Amarle chut beitfei. Go deeper. You have to remove both sections. Asavua ashkachei. Levi's father told him to get rid of the whole membrane, including the lower one. Amarle. That your grandmother in the name of Rav would say the same thing. Now your mother's father in the name of Rav would say it. Umanu Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. Lo asur hadad bilvad. The membrane in the hilum of the spleen, which is in the middle, that's the part that is prohibited. Versus Aini. Ramavam Nuna. Tana krum shalatchol aser, but vein chayven Allah. The membrane that's on top of the spleen is prohibited, but it's no kares. Hechidami, il mali shaladad. If you're saying it's only a hilum, amayin chayol Allah. Why wouldn't you be chayv kares? Rav before said it's prohibited chaylev. Ela dekula. It's the membrane about the whole thing, but the whole thing is only prohibited rabbinically. Amrle itanya tanya. Well, if you have a baraisa like that, fine. Gufa amrav amnuna tana krum shalatchol aser. The membrane that is on the spleen is aser, but ein chayav nalav. There's no kares. Krum shagabikulya aser vein chayav nalav. Also, the membrane that surrounds the kidney is rabbinically prohibited. I vatanya chayav nalav. There's a baraisa that says you're chayav kares. There's no kasha regarding the spleen. Ha-keneged adad. That's the one that's opposite the middle part called the hilum. Ha-shalo keneged adad. The other areas, kuya namila kasha. Ha-bi-la, the upper membrane, you do get kares. Ha-bi-tata, the one that's right on top of the kidney, the lower membrane, you don't get kares. Beichashilta. You have testicles that have been cut from the blood vessels, but they're a little bit attached in the scrotum. Ravami Ravasi, Chad Osa. One said you can't eat those testicles. It's like Avram and Achai. B'chad Shari. One say it's permitted. Manda Osar. The one who said it's prohibited, since they're not going to heal, they don't. You see that they don't decay. Then they still have life. Okay, I'm going to stop here because they're going to be calling us soon. But we'll pick up again. Probably tomorrow, same thing, 8:00.
Okay,
Have a good day, everybody.
Hey,
you too.
you too. Ernie, have a